How's it going, everybody? This is Carlos, one of your hosts of the Bring on the Blitz podcast, and I'm joined here with the one and only Rios. Rios, how's it going? You excited for some NFL draft talk today?
Very excited. It's been the longest week, and it's only Tuesday.
Exactly. There you go. Did you have a happy Easter, bro?
I did. My mom surprised me with breakfast. We went to church
Yeah,
for a little bit, and I took a fat nap and had a porterhouse steak for dinner.
as you should. As you should. There you go. All right, man. So with today's show is this, there's NFL draft buzz is in the air. NFL draft starts from April 23rd all the way through the 25th, if I'm not mistaken, all the way through the weekend. And there's some exciting times during the off season, of course, because this is the time where teams, you know, uh, get to choose their future players and things like that. So today's episode is going to be talking we're going to delve into a lot of the top Latino prospects in this year's 2026 draft. There was a lot of Latino players this season that are going to the NFL, that have declared for the NFL draft, long the most and possibly ever that
Yeah,
that so many have declared. So we'll be shedding some light on some of those players, where we could see potential fits for those players, and possibly what rounds we could see them go in. All this and more when we return from our intro. Hit it.
Tell them bring on the blitz. 20 number dogs don't miss. Fourth down and flick of the wrist. And we go for the wrist. Jumping and racing and fist. With Carlos and Poppy and Rios, they bring on the blitz. 20 number dogs don't miss. Fourth down and flick of the wrist. And we go for the wrist. Jumping and racing and fist. With Carlos and Poppy and Rios, they bring on the blitz.
All right, man, I can jam that song all day,
right.
especially when the song says your name. You know what I'm saying?
That's when
Yeah,
you know
man.
you made it.
Say it again.
That's when you know you made it.
Yeah, so we know you made it. All right, man. So one of the colleges that I kind of want to talk about that had the most NFL players this season. Um, Sorry, the most NFL, one of the most college students declare for the draft. Texas A&M had the most out of any of the colleges in the NFL draft to declare, and so they had a pro day about 2 weeks ago. And two of the Latino players that we're going to talk about today are from Texas A&M. Taurean York, linebacker from Texas A&M, and of course, KC Concepcion as well, wide receiver. Man, so there is a lot to talk about. So we're gonna start off with some of our picks. We're gonna start off from where we could see these guys potentially land, what rounds, possibly maybe undrafted, some of them, and maybe some high pick rounds. So some of these guys had some great um they're pretty decent in the combines and in the pro days. So we're going to talk about the a little bit right now. So guess the first guy we're going to talk about is Joey Aguilar from Tennessee. Um, so Joey Aguilar started off with the Volts pretty solid, actually, pretty solid. Was good playmaker, and then suddenly uh, he was out. He was out, and then you saw stat wise, you saw them recede, right? So if you're looking at just the stats, you're like, wait, how come Joey doesn't have that many um like stats? And this is his senior year to go to the draft. So um sorry. And so that's the question. So it really I think this season really kind of affected. He wasn't approved to go to play another season with Tennessee. So basically, Aguilar just kind of sought a preliminary injunction to play for the University of Tennessee in the 2026 season. Basically, they argued that his legal team argued that the previous time spending at junior college at the JUCO level and the City College of San Francisco and Diablo Valley College should have not counted against his 5-year NCAA eligibility clock. So in February, they basically denied his request for an injunction because the court did not grant him extra year of eligibility. So his NCAA career was basically ruled to be exhausted, and just basically, he argued that he basically there's other players that have argued that basically his medical argued for medical redshirt or in unique circumstances, but the court did not find sufficient grounds for Diego for Aguilar's case. So basically, he had to declare for the draft. So with his college career closed, Aguilar kind of turned his full attention to the 2026 draft. He did participate in the 2026 scouting combine on Tennessee's pro day. And so it depends. Some analysts ranked him as a top 3 quarterback prospect. Others viewed him as just a late round or even going to the undrafted. He remains inactive. I mean, he, you know, I think if he would have done the full season at Tennessee, you saw a lot of flashes from Joey Aguilar. Um, and so there is something with Aguilar. There is talent, there is arm strength for sure. And that's what I think a lot of what needs to be focused on as opposed to what he was going on the medical stuff. So at this point, he's the deep ball. One of the most explosive plays from Tennessee is a 52-yard touchdown strike to Chris Brazil. And this showcased his ability to just kind of stretch the field vertically. He's a good scrambler. Like that's one of the things that he has. He uses his legs. He's one of those quarterbacks that prioritizes the pocket presence, but is able to use his legs if needed. Um, he did develop a strong connection with Ethan Davis, a tight end as well. So and again, poise in the pocket. He's good in the pocket. He does maintain his vision down the field and just maintains maintains his eyes down the field. And he's a pretty good accurate passer. So he's 6'3", 229. So pretty good size for quarterback. Yeah. And so those are things he's very resilient too. So, and I mean, he's played for the SEC. So those are some qualities that I think should be highlighted, but maybe not hindered as far as for draft prospect. But because of the medical reasons and the fact that his stats don't really reflect his player ability, in my opinion, I think that he's probably going to go very, very late rounds, possibly undrafted. So
No, I'm kind of the same mindset. I think just the lack of production in college, even though he was at a big school and a big conference, not a whole lot of production on tape, at least.
Yeah.
For like the various reasons you mentioned. And again, the medical concerns probably going to be, teams going to be a little bit wary of that. And I think best case for him, 6th round maybe, but more than unlikely probably be entering the undrafted free agent, which is, hey, we've seen guys go undrafted and making up our rosters. A guy we had on the other show, Jalen Coker, he went undrafted. We thought he was going to be drafted. He went undrafted, and now he's an important part of the Carolina offense. So it's all about, if you don't get drafted, it's all about landing in the right spot and developing and having a coaching staff that believes in you.
Yeah. I will say this, before he went to Tennessee, I mean, he was one of his achievements in the Sun Belt Conference. He was recognized as one of the best transfers in the country. Cure Bowl MVP 2023, led Appalachian State to a bowl victory over Miami, Ohio. Clutch factor 2023, he just kind of led the entire nation with 15 touchdown passes that either tied the game or gave his team the lead. Volume King, he left App State and ranked 5th all-time in career passing yards and touchdowns, despite only starting for 2 seasons in App State. Passing yards in App State in the 2023 season, school record 3,700, over 3,700 yards. In the 2024 season, 3,003 yards, and then basically his App State total yardage was 6,760 passing yards in the 2 years that he was there. About 33 56 touchdowns, completion rating of basically 60%, rushing yards as well, 245, 207, bringing to a total of 452 rushing yards, and of course rushing touchdowns overall. He had 5 rushing touchdowns in App State. So just some highlights overall.
No, we had this Tennessee, probably be talking different draft stock, but it's Appalachian State. Not a school or in the powerhouse conference, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sun Belt. I mean, and that's the thing that you take. It's like to me, I think it's still considerable, just to see where he's at. But of course, something that should kind of be brought up, and and I think in should be taken into consideration for Aguilar. All right, so I think we both agreed on that. Probably late rounder, if anything, undrafted free agent goes to could be a solid backup quarterback somewhere.
I think just because it's such a weak quarterback class, he has a pretty high chance of getting
Mhm.
drafted.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. All right, our next guy, Fernando Carmona. Okay. Fernando Carmona's out of Arkansas, offensive lineman, uh, projected to be at least a 6th or a 7th round pick in the draft. A few teams that can use him. I mean, there right now, it feels like the offensive line, any player in the offensive line for any team right now is such a scarce resource, a valuable one at that. So, um, I think, we cover the Texans here and there, so I think the Texans could be maybe a depth piece for the Texans, maybe the Ravens.
I
Any
mean,
team really that's looking for an offensive lineman, I think could benefit out of Fernando Carmona.
I think especially now in this league where we're seeing more of an emphasis on having a strong running game, you'll definitely see more linemen get drafted than normal just
Yeah.
because it's a long season and guys get hurt and you need to have guys that you can plug into and not have a humongous drop off as far as pass protection and run blocking.
Yeah, no, I agreed. One of the things for him is he's very durable. His durability. The pros like him because of his high IQ, durability, mean streak. He fits the culture. Measurement concerns. That's one of the reasons why he's ranking a little bit low.
Bit understood.
At the combine, his arm length measured at 32 and 1/8 inches, which is below the ideal threshold of a lot of NFL scouts. So that arm length really kind of made him go down that much, you know. Of course, some of the test numbers, his performance in drills, 522 40-yard dash, kind of lackluster in the vertical broad jump metrics. That also hurt his stock. And with teams looking for elite mobility and just explosive athleticism in the offensive line. I mean, you've seen over the years the evolution of the defensive linemen. Those guys got fast. They're running at like what tight ends or wide receiver. Yeah, used to run like so. It's understandable why they're looking for the more of the athletic, versatile offensive lineman nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a home for the big boys that are 300 plus pounds, but at the same time, you got to be able to keep up with some of these uber athletic defensive ends. Like, imagine you having a guy like Myles Garrett or Will Anderson
Yeah.
Jr. and those guys have quick first steps, and if you're not be able to handle that first step, you're going to get blown up and blow your assignment, and your quarterback's going to be on the ground looking at you with the death stare.
Yeah. No, agreed. And so he's basically subjected to, basically an ideal backup role, backup interior lineman, developmental guard. So it's a great depth piece to add to your offensive line.
Yeah.
So I could see them. Best, some of the best teams that come to a fit for him would be basically, the Ravens pop up, the Texans pop up here and there as a depth piece, for him. So, any teams for you that come to mind that could take an interior, basically interior lineman that could be a depth piece for them.
Probably any team in the AFC North.
Yeah,
Up north, they run the ball a lot, especially because it
they
gets
do.
very cold very quickly over there. So there's always going to be a home for linemen that are able to hold their own against some of these uber athletic defensive ends.
No, I agree. Basically, he's considered strong. He's a strong run blocker, Cremona, than a pass protector. So this is a guy that you could definitely use in the run game. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's, with the acquisition of David Montgomery for the Houston Texans. I think that's why they're pairing him for the like he would be for a good fit for the Texans. I mean, again, as a depth piece for the Texans because linemen, unfortunately, there's a lot of injuries on there. So you got to be able to have a guy next man up mentality, And so,
as we see with the Texans offensive line, the last couple seasons, it was held together by duct tape and prayer.
Yeah, agreed. And so for him is, it's one of his strengths out of all those is the fact that he's a great run blocker. So that's his bread and butter right there. So I like that. So I can see why that's a fit. But like you said, any team in the AFC North as well, any team that prioritizes the run game, I think could benefit from having a depth piece like Fernando Carmona. But yes, I could see him definitely six or seven round. But any team that's looking for that a depth piece. Another person we're looking at, Enrique Cruz Jr. from Kansas. Um, he's rated a little higher. A team in connection, the New York Jets could be one of them. Fifth or sixth round, just a little higher over Fernando Carmona. So Enrique Cruz Jr. Sorry, 1 second. I'm looking at his strengths and why he could be a depth piece as well for the Jets. So he's one of the most intriguing. Like he's a prospect in the NFL draft class, of course. He's got pretty good athleticism. I think that's what puts him over Fernando Carmona. Basically very physical, 6'6", 313 pounds. He had a 494 40-yard dash.
It's not bad for a 300-pound man.
Not bad for a 300, bro. I weigh way less than him, and I think I can make an 8-second 40-yard dash. I would say 10, closer to 10.
10.5.
On the RAS score, he scored a 985. So pretty high up on the RAS score.
I think also is he's versatile in the offensive line. He played guard and tackle, so he's pretty versatile.
Left tackle and right tackle. So similar to Titus Howard for the Texans, right? When he kind of, I mean, I don't think, he was able to be versatile, move all around the line.
Yeah, he played both tackle positions and left guard.
Yeah, run blocking ability. He's another run blocker. One more time.
I said Cleveland probably a good spot for him because it'd be Titus Howard backup.
Titus Howard backup. There you go. So Cleveland Browns could be one. Run blocking ability. Cruz he's very at his best when he's moving downhill. So basically excels to the second level and navigating to the he fits anybody just like Carmona would that prioritizes that run game.
I think he would excel more in a zone running scheme with like 49ers or the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Any team like that, especially 494 for a guy that's 313 pounds.
Like we had mentioned, you want your linemen to be more athletic than we have in days past.
Yeah, no, exactly. So this guy could fit in, but yeah, he's kind of in that fifth or sixth round. So that's something to look out for. So and around those rounds, but he's tied again to the New York Jets. But I could see him also, like you said, Cleveland could be if you're looking for a versatile guy on the line that's able to move around. Yeah, why not? All right, next on our list, tight end from Alabama, Josh Cuevas, another guy that's slated to go in the fifth or sixth round. Josh Cuevas was one of Ty Simpson's favorite targets. Sorry. And he did have an injury that it felt like it was going to be longer than what it was supposed to be, but he was able to come back and finish off the season with Alabama. He ran all the extras. He ran everything on the combine as well. So there was no, if scouts were worried about his injury in Alabama, I mean, like I said, he did all the workouts for the combine. So there was nothing there. I was lucky enough to ask him about what his favorite dish was, and he said in one of our videos that we did for our esquina was enchiladas. That's one of his top favorite meals that his mom likes to cook from. So it was fun. That was very refreshing to hear, very relatable. Very versatile as well. Unlike the taller tight ends, he's kind of stuck in the line of scrimmage. Cuevas he's very elite when he's moving. He can line up in the slot if you need him to. Wide backfield lead blocker. He doesn't look like it because from his frame, but he's got a pretty decent speed. I mean, 4.65 40-yard dash for a player with a thicker build. Does that make sense? So he had a 4.65 42nd yard dash. So that was basically his speed basically allows him to threaten the seams and outrun some linebackers as well. So that could be something that he can be used pretty decently. He's a good sound blocker. There's a scout, Lance Zerlin, noticed that despite being undersized, he does attack the block. He attacks blocking assignments with better toughness and technique than most in the class. So he uses great lower body strength and he holds to the point of attack. So he's very versatile. He's a fighter. Like, this is a guy that you would definitely want on your team. I would say pretty good, reliable tight end too, in most teams.
Yeah. Tight end 2, tight end 3, tight end 2,
yeah, tight end 2, tight end 3.
He's a good run.
I wouldn't say could he
He's a good
move
run
up to a tight end 1 possibly, but I think if you're starting off, probably tight end 2, tight end 3, like you said. I could see that happening. Finished 2025 season with 37 catches, 411 yards, and 4 touchdowns at Alabama. And he's just very mental tough. So, Cowboys could be a team that can get him because of in the 5th round for Dallas. Cowboys kind of gave Jay Ferguson a massive extension, but they need a move tight end who can also build up a fullback. So this is something where Cuevas can really excel. So, I could see him on the Cowboys. Any team that can use a tight end as well, tight end 2 option. I mean, I know, and we talked about Sadiq from Oregon, where the Texans can move up. Texans definitely do need a tight end too. Could be an option if Nick Casero's looking at maybe at a later round too, if he's available.
I was gonna say that because he's the versatility. He can kind of play the Aaron Hernandez role that he played in the New England offense.
Yeah,
tight end 2 / H-back / slot receiver. Like, you can move him around a little bit. It's just kind of bit of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he's basically, that's a really good way of putting him. He's a Swiss Army knife of that. So very versatile player that any team can get him. But yeah, he's slated to be somewhere around the 5th or 6th round pickup. So definitely somebody to look out for. And of course, SEC Alabama team as well. That could work. All right. This next one, a little controversial for many reasons. A lot of PR stuff that was going on during the offseason. Okay. Quarterback from Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia. Okay. In most cases, in undersized, yes. What he did for Vanderbilt, even when with that, even though being undersized, now I understand. College is very different from NFL, of course. What he did for Vanderbilt, we can't discredit, how much he helped elevate that team. I just don't think it would transfer over to the NFL, in my opinion.
No.
As great as fun as he was there, how much he elevated that team, it's just, I think the undersized Diego Pavia. So there's places that measure, it's like all over. Some places you see him at 6 feet, some 5 something, and then I've seen him as low as 5'7" in some measurements. And so I will say this: key stats for Vanderbilt. He did have over 3,500 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 862 rushing yards, and out of those rushing yards, 10 of those resulted in touchdowns. That's for Diego Pavia. They agree that scouts. They do agree that he plays much bigger than his measurables. He completely again. That goes back to completely transforming the Vanderbilt program. Dual threat playmaker. He has a pretty decent football IQ, but there's the physical limitations. Average arm strength. Scouts do worry about his ability to consistently drive the ball into tight windows. And the NFL level, that's what it's all about. Delivering the ball into tight windows, right? Sometimes you got double coverage, triple coverage, whatever it is. Mechanics. Sometimes he exits the pocket way too early rather than climbing and deliver from the pocket. And it's understandable. And especially in the NFL, if you can't see over those linemen, you're going to have to consistently exit out of the pocket, right?
Think of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's 5'10", he's taller than Diego Pavia,
Mhm.
and he struggles to see over this lineman.
Yeah. And so, and another thing is it's scheme fit. So he's viewed as a player who who requires a tailored scheme, basically an offense that utilizes a lot of RPOs and movement to maximize that dual threat ability. So you become basically one dimensional at that point, and that's it's basically a winner mentality versus the actual measurables trap that you really have to worry about. And I don't know. If a team is really a projection for him is 6th or 7th round as well, but I could see him being undrafted at some point as well. Like I could definitely, like, if he went undrafted, it wouldn't surprise me. The
No.
measurables, of course, and then the PR stuff the PR stuff, how the media handling issues as well. So I don't know. I think that I think that there a lot of those things put together, I don't think put him in the best situation. I don't Could a team get him in the later rounds? Possibly, but if he went undrafted, it wouldn't surprise me.
Honestly, I don't see any team taking a gamble on him.
Mhm.
Just the measurables. I mean, I think his official measurement was 5'9".
Yeah.
Mind you, at college, I listed him over 6 feet. But when you saw him in interviews, when you saw him at the Heisman ceremony, like, there is no way on God's green earth this man is 6 feet tall. If he's 6 feet, I'm 7 foot. Like, come on.
So his
That
height at the Senior Bowl was 5'9" and 7/8,
yeah,
roughly 5'10".
very
But
undersized for a
and
quarterback.
yeah, and then that's why it's weird because sometimes they're listing him at 6. I mean, Vanderbilt's 2025 roster had him at 6 feet.
Well, it's kind of like I think most women will attest to this. Guys lying about their height on their Tinder profiles. They put 6 feet. When you see them in person, they're 5'9". That
What's the
is
weather down there?
basically that is Diego Pavia. Like, you remember She-Hulk? When I put on my height on my bio, I was 6'1". She was a little skeptical until she saw, okay, yeah, you're taller than me. So, and she was 6 foot, so she was very tall. But yeah,
So the Diego Pavia thing. So what do you think? You wouldn't be surprised if nobody
well, yeah,
picked him?
not just at the measurables, but also the fact that basically he was just such a sore loser after the Heisman. Like, there's just you can't do that. Like, the optics are so terrible. Like, you don't have the talent or the measurables to act the way he was acting after losing the Heisman. And yeah, I don't see any NFL team taking a gamble on him. It's like like we had talked about off air. The man's trying to be like Manziel, but Manziel beat Alabama in Alabama, like in the SEC. Like, he had the tape to back up the bravado that he personified. Didn't work out in the NFL, but at least at the college level, he had reason to talk and act that way. Besides beating Alabama, he won a Heisman.
Yeah. I see your point. Yeah, that's I think that's what I meant with the PR stuff is just I think the way some of that was handled wasn't to the best, and NFL teams notice those things. The attitude, how it reflects, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be the quarterback that a team looks up to, they're going to look for your leadership. And don't get me wrong, like I said, you can't discredit what he did at Vanderbilt, but at the same time, NFL and Vanderbilt are very different.
Yeah,
And that's where these guys need to match up. So I can see why that affects his draft stock, aside from the measurables as well. So no, I agree with that. It's just, yeah, the PR and just the fact the measurables as well kind of hurt him. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if a team doesn't pick him and he goes undrafted, because teams can use him as a backup. You know what I mean? But I don't see him as a foreseeable starter in any team in the NFL.
I don't see him as an NFL player. Probably the USFL, Canadian League.
Mm,
Hey, that's nothing wrong with that. It's still playing professional football,
mhm.
just not at the NFL level, which is fine. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's path is different. So
All right. Okay. Next person, Taurean York. I'm excited about this one. Taurean York is the type of linebacker that teams definitely want. Okay. So Let me give you some awards that he won in Texas A&M 2025. It's the 2025 All SEC selection, named to the All SEC team, voted by the league coaches following a dominant junior season. He's PFF top 101 players, ranked number 62 best player in college football by PFF. And then in 2023, ESPN's freshman All-American. So he has a good track record. Taurean does. And so let me tell you a little bit about him. For him, he's considered a sleeper. There's people that compare him to Luke Kuechly. Remember Luke Kuechly from Carolina Panthers. They compare his play style to Luke Kuechly because of his pre-snap processing. That pre-snap processing, he doesn't just kind of react. He just kind of he knows the play before it develops, and he attacks the gap with urgency. So he's a very high IQ linebacker. Elite coverage. I mean, his PFF rating biggest strength is his ability to play the space. He earned a 90.8 PFF coverage grade in 2025, ranked him 6th in the entire country among 809 qualified linebackers. Elite, and it proves that he can hang with this day and age NFL tight ends. So I definitely, and the leadership as well. Like he was a team captain for 2 seasons at Texas A&M. Teams met with him at the combine. They walked away just so impressed by his maturity. First one in, last one out kind of mentality, you know. So and he's one of those guys that's been coached by his dad his entire life. So that works really well for him as well. Measurables. He's considered a day 3 pick. He's 5'10, 227, 30-inch arms. That's the only thing. He's significantly smaller than NFL standard inside linebackers. Limited athletic testing. He did struggle in the lateral agility drills. 3-cone, short shuttle at the combine. The scouts worry that while he is very, very smart enough to be at the right spot, he may not have the makeup speed or the elite burst to just kind of recover from a bad angle in the NFL caliber, you know, for for a running back or whatnot. That was the biggest thing.
He looks like a 2-down linebacker. Like in today's NFL, you should be a 3-down backer. Like you got to be
down,
really. You can't be one of those running backs where you know they're going to run the ball in the first 2 plays, and then you come off the field for 3rd down. Like it's just those are very rare in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Where you have just a guy that's just a 2-down backer.
Yeah. But impressed with his you know his ability to just be dominant in Texas A&M. Texas A&M had such an elite defense as well this past season. And so for him, yeah, day 3 linebacker, teams that could fit Taurean York, Tennessee Titans, Cincinnati, maybe the Texans, who are also into a linebacker. But
I think any team that runs a 4-3 would probably be better suited for his skill set.
Yeah. So day 3, maybe 4th, I could see Taurean York in those situations. But yeah, definitely one of those guys that any team would like to have in the linebacking core. Definitely. So anything else on Taurean, Rios?
I mean, if he can improve his lateral, movements, you can be a 3-down backer and definitely, elongate his career. But because we've seen it multiple times, especially the last several seasons, guys that can't play on 3rd down, they don't really have a roster spot most times.
Yeah.
Outside of special teams.
The good thing is that that football IQ as well. That football IQ, and I think those are things that can't, like with him, like a football IQ. It's just it's you have it, you don't have it, you can learn it or whatnot. But I feel like as far as for the physicality, I think once he's with the team, that's something that can be developed.
Yeah, I think in the right scheme, he can excel because he's shown that he's a hard worker. He's a great football IQ, like you mentioned. Like I said, the right team, the right scheme fit. Like Coach Quentin Dem said on our team, on our other show, like it's not about the coaching more or less, it's about the scheme fit with certain players.
Yeah, no, agreed. All right, another guy that so now we're gonna move on to a guy that was just an outstanding a disruptor on the defensive side of the ball, especially if you have a team in the Big 12. I'm referring to, of course, the one and only Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker from Texas Tech. Texas Tech had a outstanding standout defense. And so let me give you some awards that he got in the 2025 season. Give me 1 second. So
He was the Big
yeah, the
12
Butkus Award, nation's top linebacker. The Bronco Nagursi Trophy, nation's best defensive player. This is voted by FWA writers. The Lombardi Award, nation's top lineman for or linebacker. Pony Express Award, shared with teammate David Bailey for the nation's top duo. Conference national recognition. Heisman. He was one of those guys that was in that Heisman Trophy run. By the way, just in case you didn't know, he finished 5th in the Heisman voting. Incredible feat for a linebacker, dude. Like that's you know that trophy goes for the offensive players, but I can't. When's the last time a Heisman went to the defensive player?
The last one that I remember was Charles Woodson back with Michigan. That was like late 90s.
Yeah. Exactly. So imagine if it would have gone, that would have completely elevated that draft stock. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, of course, unanimous voting, unanimous first team All-American, Walter Camp, National Player of the Year finalist. The award list goes on for the amount of trophies he got. Jacob Rodriguez, but he had a fantastic year. This is the type of linebacker that you want. PFF grading, he earned a 93.3 overall defensive grade, ranking first out of 809 linebackers. He also ranked first in both coverage, 92.7, and run defense, 95.3. Recorded 128 total tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions. One of them came against Connor Wayman from U of H, leaps over leaps over somebody as well, and then just a highlight reel, man. Just he creates game-changing plays. And that's somebody that they have to like. He was one of the main reasons why Texas Tech was able to be so good this season. Of course, they also had a lot of defensive players, but he's the captain of that defense, bro. And so for him, I can see him definitely going. So one of his weaknesses is the fact that he is considered undersized. He did have a pretty good NFL combine. It's just the fact that he's seen as a little bit undersized. He's slated to go round 2, possibly early 3rd round. Cowboys is a team again. Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay are some fits for Jacob Rodriguez in the draft. So again, round 2, early 3rd, if anything.
Another team I could see would be the 49ers, pairing him next to Warner. 2 Mexican
teaming up with another fellow Latino, Fred Warner, Federico Warner, by the way, as he likes to be called.
Right.
And that's the thing that before we head on to our last 2, like I think this is the best thing about it is because there's a lot of players that have a Latino descent. Most people know him. Bryce Young, Federico Warner, Fred Warner. The list goes on. A lot of Andres Borregales. This is a guy that came from Venezuela, that was born in Venezuela, and he's the first Venezuelan kicker to ever make it to the Super Bowl. Julian Love, like there were so many, especially in this past Super Bowl, there were so many Latino players there, and this is just another list of guys that have that potential to be part of that, And so, having Jacob Rodriguez, that'd be a good one. See Fred Warner and Jacob Rodriguez line up right side by side,
right?
But
and that'd be
with that. So.
Learn from.
Say it again.
That would be a great person to learn from too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Jacob Rodriguez, right there, second, early 3rd round. Bills, Tampa Bay, 49ers. Cowboys was another team I saw him tied into. Coincidentally, there were some mock drafts that mentioned the Texans could do that too. And it wasn't just one, it was several PFF mock draft. PFF, one of the PFF mock drafts that they had put the Texans on one of those rounds getting Jacob Rodriguez too, that one caught me off guard a little bit though.
I could see the fit just because he kind of embodies the swarm mentality. You think the way his playing style is just relentless to the ball.
Physical, very physical.
he would fit in almost perfectly with the Texans defense, just for
Yeah.
the mentality and the intangibles. And if they can help him beef up a little bit and get him NFL ready, like I could possibly see them taking him in the third round. Second round, I don't know about second round. Third round, if he's still there in the third, I could see them taking a flyer on him.
That could, I mean, yeah, he was relentless. And then again, he lifted up his during the combine. He even elevated his draft stock even more. All right, let's move on to our second to last guy that we have on the list. KC Concepcion, man, another Texas A&M player, wide receiver, versatile, making him one of the most decorated transfers in recent college football history from NC State. It's funny because we used to cover him when he was in NC State, and then during the last offseason, it's like, oh, Casey's going over to Texas A&M? No way. And he was a game changer for Texas A&M. Let me give you some 2025 season awards for KC Concepcion. Paul Hornog Award winner, consensus All-American, 3-time first team All-SEC, wide receiver, all-purpose player, and return specialist. If you talk about versatility, this is a guy that needs to be put up in the next to the word versatile. Preseason Herbie Award, named the impact transfer for non-quarterback by Kirk Heisbert before the season even began. 61 receptions, 919 yards, 9 receiving touchdowns, 25 punt returns for 456 yards. He was averaging about 18.2 yards every punt return. Out of those punt returns, 2 of those came as touchdowns. Rushing, yes, he rushed a few yards. He had 10 carries, 75 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Rios, total all-purpose yards 1450. Remember how we talked about the Swiss Army knife?
Yeah,
this is a legitimate Swiss Army knife. He's what you want in a wide receiver. He's exactly what deep ball threat, reliable hands. Sorry, he was one of the main minor things that they talked about in the combine was the concentration. He had some drop passes, but aside from that, when he was told that by his pro day, he was working extremely hard on making sure that those catches were there because he was told that. So hard work. Write that in there. He knows what he wants. An amazing person overall as far as that. Like there was a lot of there was when there were videos posted of him talking in the NFL Combine, there was a lot of negativity that came out based on his stuttering.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing this, the fact that he's doing that, dude, that's an inspiring guy. Like that, how could you make fun of that?
What it reminds me of is George Springer, because he's another guy that had a really bad stuttering problem, and he overcame it. And he was a big advocate on,
Yes, just like Concepcion, he's a big advocate for it. And this is a guy, dude. I could see definitely the Bills going after him. There was a lot of Bills media at the podium when I went to the NFL Combine. There was a lot of Bills media there. I wouldn't surprise me if the Buffalo Bills went in and got KC Concepcion. The fact that he's from Buffalo, also his dad lived in Buffalo as well, and
it
makes sense, like a homecoming. And then he also went on record and said, I wouldn't mind coming to Buffalo. I would love. He loves Buffalo, so I could see that this would be a great addition for Josh Allen. For Josh Allen, a great weapon for him to have.
Yeah, because on that roster, there's no real true number one receiver. They drafted Keon Coleman to be that guy, but after some of the comments from the general manager this past offseason, I don't think he's going to be in Buffalo very long.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's there. I think it's like the writing's a little bit on the wall, but again, we'll have to see and wait to develop. But I could definitely see him as a top rounder, as the first round pick, maybe late first round, but definitely a first rounder.
Yeah, no, definitely the first round. I think either a team like that or even the San Francisco 49ers, because they don't really have a true number one receiver either.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because Juwan Jennings left. Ayuk is probably not coming back to the 49ers. So there's really no established true number one. Kittle has a torn Achilles. We're not going to see him this season.
Yeah.
So honestly, the only thing you have on offense for that team is the McCaffrey receiver number one, McCaffrey running back number one, and put him at quarterback.
Steelers, Jets could be another team that needs a wide receiver.
Steelers, yeah, for sure. Outside of DK Metcalf, they don't really have a true receiving threat. The Jets, I would rather see him go to a team with a more
Right. No, I agree with that. But those are some teams that definitely need some wide receiver help. Hold on. But yeah, but I could see definitely Buffalo doing that. I think that would be his dream scenario too. Going for Buffalo. But nonetheless, yeah, I could see that. All right, and our last one. Okay. Our last one. Fernando Mendoza.
I wonder where he's gonna go.
I wonder. I honestly believe there's no doubt. Like I said, we've said this many times on the show. This is the number one overall pick in the draft. There's absolutely nobody else that I think is going to go. The Raiders hold the number one overall draft pick. They need a quarterback. Guess who the most outstanding quarterback was this year's in this year's college football season? Fernando Mendoza was one of the key reasons why the Hoosiers got to be where they were this season. Won a natty, so it just makes sense for all those stars to align.
And look who works in the front office.
Say it again.
And look who works in their front office. Some guy, Thomas Brady. I think.
I think he did some stuff.
I think he won a couple. He won a few games here and there.
He owned the Raiders a couple times.
And it's still funny to me, like that he works for the Raiders just because of the whole Tuck rule thing. Like it blows my mind, man.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I shared that story. This is when I was big into that. When I was, because I lived in Northern California, so like Raiders was the thing, and that's when I used to. That's when I was really into the Oakland Raiders at the time. It was during the Tuck rule time. I was like, my goodness. But Brady just changed the whole game with that Tuck rule, and the fact now it's like life comes a full circle with Brady now being part of that front office with the Raiders. But look, it makes sense. Brady's there. Why not take a guy like Mendoza, who showed who showed what kind of player he really was against Miami, took those hits. I think that was one of those highlights that will live on for a long time. How he took that hit and still went in and scored the rushing touchdown after getting hit that bad, and that shows his tenacity, his physicality, the fact that he will do just about anything to win the game. And it just makes so much sense for Fernando Mendoza just to be the number one overall draft pick for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, I think
need a quarterback.
I think here is the real question, though. Is he day one starter? Because they just signed Kirk Cousins to
They did just sign Kirk Cousins. What was it? $18 million?
$20 million.
$20 million. My goodness, that agent of his.
He is generational. That man needs his own statue too, because God, this man has earned almost $500 million in earnings, and he is a solid quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but the amount of money this man has earned, Hall of Famers haven't earned this kind of money.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's look at the whole Patrick Mahomes deal, right? Was Patrick Mahomes a day one starter? No. He lasted. He was a year, right? He stood in the bench for a year, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I could see Fernando. Let's just say hypothetically, if Fernando isn't a first day starter, I still think he is. But if he isn't, I still think he goes in during the season.
Yeah, I think you see him at some point. But I'm going to say that, especially paying Kirk Cousins that kind of money, he's probably going to be your week one starter. And they're probably going to have Mendoza sit and just learn about it. Kirk Cousins is a good guy to learn from. After watching the quarterback series on Netflix, this dude is very cerebral. He really takes it serious and really studies the game. Like, that would be a good person to have as a mentor.
Right. And then you still got Tom Brady there.
Yeah.
So, like, this is like the perfect, it's weird to say, because like I said, the perfect ideal scenario. Again, the Raiders at that from before this offseason is a team that like, ooh, they're not really what are they doing to better themselves? Again, they went off and got Clint Kubiak. That to me was their first sign of, okay, they're ready to make a contendership. He was with the Seattle Seahawks. Look where they were. Look where the Seattle Seahawks are.
He got the job literally after he won the Super Bowl. I think he had the job before they won the Super Bowl, but they announced it after they won the Super Bowl because now it's legal to say, hey, already took the job. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, overall, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Fernando just goes to the Raiders. I can't see anybody unless somehow the Raiders have like 30 draft picks from some other team. 30 first-round draft picks.
Once someone pulls the New Orleans Saints and trades all their draft
everybody.
picks.
Was it? Yeah, everybody. That's the only thing that I can think of. Honorable mention after Jesus Gomez, kicker from Arizona State, also declared for the draft. He's legitimately he's Mexican born from Puebla. He was at Arizona State Sun Devils. But before that, he was in Eastern Michigan. 6'1", 215. While he was at Eastern Michigan, he made university history by hitting a 57-yard field goal. Clutch performance, 2025 season with Arizona State, gained reputation for having ice in his veins kicker, hitting back-to-back game-winning field goals, especially against Baylor and TCU. Earned them a consecutive Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week honor. So, something to look out for. We saw a kicker got taken last season, and coincidentally, he was in the Super Bowl, Andres Borregales. So, this could be a guy that can be taken, or if he goes undrafted, then any team can use a kicker at this point. So,
I think for kickers, it doesn't matter if they get drafted or not, because at the kicker position, it's a revolving door for every team.
Yeah.
Very few teams can have the same kicker year in, year out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see that for sure. All right, man. That's gonna be it. Next week, join us. That's gonna be it for this week when we talk. We are gonna talk. We're supposed to talk Titans today, but we figured we'd save that for next week. Reason being is because next week we have the one and only, the legendary John McClain, friend of the show, will be on.
Hall of Fame.
We'll talk to Hall of Famer John McClain. Yeah, he'll be on. We'll talk to him about Houston Texans draft. Obviously, we're going to be talking to him about the Tennessee Titans, and since he covers the Titans as well, so what be the perfect person to save the Titan stuff for that show. So tune in next week. Well, we have again the legendary Hall of Famer himself, John McClain. Follow us at if you haven't done it, please follow us at Blitz Pod, just like you see that. That's the same thing for our Twitter, our Instagram, and our YouTube channel, just like that, as you see it, at Blitz Pod for Bring on the Blitz. That's going to be it for us this week. Again, join us next week when we have the Hall of Famer John McClain on the show. And that's going to do it for us, Rios. Anything else?
No, that's it. We're 16 days away from the draft. We'll see how right we are.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That's going to be it for us. See y'all next week. Peace.
Tell them bring on the Blitz.